Hello everyone and welcome! Today we'll be doing a Transcendence 75 Hazama run with some of the new tactics. So for Mine Crystals I'm running mostly the same general stuff as I usually do. We're running electric tactics to help get the build set up. And then we're running also the Killstreak healing. That's something I've been kind of changing around a lot recently, is switching between either the Killstreak healing or Perennial. I think they both work pretty well. My old go-to was always Mixture Replenishment and Enhancement, but I think they're a little too overpowered, so I've been switching off of them. It's also nice just to have the extra space from not having to run both of those at the same time every run. I've actually set up some starting buffs and debuffs. This isn't something I usually do because it's very, very expensive. But for this run, the two main things I wanted to have were speedrun reward and no damage reward. And then I also found fast kill, MP recovery, and MP cost, so those are going to be really useful as well. Chance damage boost will probably help out quite a bit as well too, since Hazama's very high hit count. So a couple things have changed for Transcendence. You still get the legacy upgrades like before, but now rest areas give you more seconds for your timer. I don't think 30 seconds is really too big, but it's something that does help, especially because you might want to be visiting rest areas anyways to remove debuffs sometimes, so it's just a bonus on top of that. And then also you get another store refresh, so that's why I wanted the buffs that help me make more money, because I'm going to be able to spend a lot more money throughout the run too than usual. And now also you get more legacy tactic refreshes at the end of the run based on what entropy value you are at. I might forget to say it at the end of the run again, but you'll be able to see it when we get to that screen. I'll have 10 legacy refreshes, which is actually kind of insane. You can usually get what you need now without having to go through the method of manipulating the tactics. I'll talk more about that a little bit later too. A couple other things that got changed is that this maxes out on a single level now and gives you 5 points instead of having 2 different levels. So now you'll never have to select between one potential. You'll always have just down to 2. And I believe that's all that got changed from this stuff. Oh, so I almost forgot to actually go back and enable Transcendence. That would have been bad. So we're going to be going with Hazama today, and it's not going to look like it, but we're actually going for a Flying Blade build. This setup is a little funny, because we're taking Flying Blades as a red effect, but we're not actually starting with them at all, but it'll work. So we're taking Thunderbolt Flying Blade, where Thunderbolts summon Flying Blades every time they hit something, and then Dash Thunderbolt to summon the Thunderbolts, and then also Orbiting Lightning Orb and Lightning Orb Thunderbolt to create even more Thunderbolts. And I said that the Thunderbolts need to hit something, but they actually don't. That was just poor wording on my part. It's just, every time a Thunderbolt appears, it's going to create Flying Blades automatically. So what the Flying Blades do is that they fly out and deal damage, and then you can also press heavy attack in order to recall the blades back to you. They'll do damage again a second time, and one of the big things about this is that the Flying Blades have a pretty decent amount of hit stun on them. So you can put enemies in the hit stun state pretty often and pretty easily once you get the Flying Blade set up. I do want both of these, but I think I'll start with the up attacks. The up attack strings just feel really good on Hazama. So normally you would have the Flying Blades come out whenever your attacks hit, and we will be building that in. Well, we will be building into that as well as soon as we get blade space for it. But for now, all of our Flying Blades are actually just coming from the Thunder. and it works very, very well. Especially as you're going through the basic enemy rooms, where... So the way that the thunderbolts work on the lightning orbs is that if I hit 3 enemies, it's going to spawn 3 different thunderbolts, and then all of those are going to spawn flying blades. So you get a lot of value out of the thunderbolts and lightning orbs red effect when you're fighting multiple enemies at once. This is a very similar setup if you've seen the chain reaction build in the past that sets up thunder orbs that spawn lightning, that then spawn the holy spears and light wave. It's just in this case we're using the thunderbolts for the flying blades instead. And I can't really say which build is better or not yet. I think this build is definitely very strong, but the lightning and light one is very hard to contend with. So here we can finally see the actual flying blades that we're using. Successfully landing an attack summons a flying blade which deals damage, then they stay on the battlefield for a couple seconds, and doing a heavy attack calls them back. We can skip the shop here because we'll have a guaranteed shop at stage 8. That's always guaranteed for every single run. If you're on the beginner difficulty instead of advanced or transcendence, that guaranteed shop will show up one stage earlier, but it'll always still be there too. I think the blades, one of the reasons why I put them on Hazama is they kind of fit thematically with... He uses blades and sometimes throwing blades as well. But also, I think they scale pretty well with his high multi-hits, especially as you upgrade some of his universal for having more hits on knife attacks. And then it also helps out with his just... He has a high lack of AoE and damage early on, so having the extra AoE from the blades flying out constantly and the extra hit stun on them helps him out a lot. And then the thunder orbs and the lightning also end up dealing a lot of damage as well. Perfect. I always like to get the invincibility state on this as early as possible. I would like to hopefully get 1 or 2 more potentials before the boss fight, but that's probably just going to come down to how good of a luck we have in the shop. Oh good, we get another guaranteed potential before the shop too. So Hazama did get some changes in the most recent patch. I don't think they're anything too major from what I've seen. I don't really notice the base attack buff on him. Right now he looks strong because that's the tactics just carrying us, pretty much. I tried going through him in some other runs and I didn't really feel the damage bonuses on him. We could get this, but we don't have the ability for it to absorb MP yet, so it'll be kind of a waste of the MP. We'll pick up Universal Enhancement first. I don't like taking this, especially too early before I have all the MP absorption things. It leads to burning through MP pretty quickly. I'd rather just use it for invincibility and have less attacks on it, and have it be more MP efficient than have this. I know people like the stomp attack though, but I think it's better to get later on than early on. We can grab some more MP absorption from here too. Pretty much any of the universal enhancement stuff is really nice to take for Hazama, especially the ones that increase the MP absorption. For my build in particular, I want the additional knife hits, but it can wait a little bit too. Okay, perfect. We got triple dash before the first boss fight as well. That's something that... Triple dash is so powerful in this game, so having it before the first boss fight makes it much easier. And I could buy some more stuff here. I have plenty of exchange points, but I will be using it at some point as soon as I start getting a lot of potentials out of a shop. Okay, so I actually need to be right back real quick on my end, but it'll just be a shortcut in the video for you. So I'll see you guys in a second. Alright, I am back. We'll see how good our damage is for the boss fight. I think the damage will still be fine for now. I feel like the flying blades do eventually kind of fall off in damage at some point, but their damage is by no means bad. Especially when it comes to Transcendence difficulty, that's kind of something that is just a running theme. The end bosses for this mode get so much HP that a lot of things start to look like they fall off in DPS. I did manage to get very close to completing a couple of runs with Hibiki using the same build on Transcendence 75, so it's definitely a build that can win the run. If you haven't seen the new Transcendent Susano yet, you're gonna be in for a real treat when we get there. The only reason I hadn't beaten the other Transcendent runs is because the new Susano is very, very crazy. It finally feels like a proper final boss fight, which I'm very happy with. We could just go for HP stacking for some safety, I guess. You do also get a refresh now that you can use anywhere between Covenant, Trial, and Black Market. The refresh is shared between all three of them, but you get a refresh now. And that's not a Transcendence thing. I'll show that off in a second. Let's go for exchange points. We're going to be needing them. So they changed one of the entropy buffs here. Instead of getting the reroll on your legacy tactics, you get a reroll on Black Market, Trial, and Covenant. And now, like I mentioned before, in Transcendent mode, the amount of rerolls you get on your legacy tactics is based on the entropy you're on. And then on just the regular advanced difficulty, you always get one reroll now. On the beginner difficulty, you don't get any rerolls, unfortunately. So does this mean that it's better to set up your legacy characters in Transcendence difficulty? It's still a bit of a complicated answer. The short answer is probably that if you just want to play the game normally, and you don't want to have to do additional runs that are built around specifically setting up legacy characters, then yes. If you can play on Transcendence difficulty pretty comfortably, then you'll be able to get your legacy characters set up this way. The problem that I've noticed with doing it this way is that I struggle to get my tactics to gold ascensions in a lot of runs. Especially because in Transcendence, I'm a lot more focused on getting potentials set up over buying like tactic ascensions and stuff. I don't think buying tactic ascensions is really that worth it. I also don't think buying tactics from shops is that worth it in most cases. So it does kind of depend on your playstyle as well. If you're able to buy more ascensions and stuff from shops, then you might be able to get gold tactics that way. Or if you don't care about gold tactics at all and you just want any rarity, then setting up your legacy characters on the Transcendence difficulty will work out for you pretty well, I think. So we picked up a specific upgrade for Thunderbolt. This is what I was looking for. This one summons a bunch of Thunderbolts at once whenever you dodge, so it'll also summon a bunch of blades for the flying blades. I really want to be seeing... I want to be seeing Legacy Lightning Impulses, but I keep getting the skill version of it instead, unfortunately. Impulses are going to build into a couple other red effects that we want for the build, but without it, I think we'll still be okay for now. So going back to setting up legacy characters, I think if you want to have gold rank stuff, it's still much easier and much faster to do the old method, where you just go into a lower difficulty run, anywhere between like 35 and 75, whatever you're comfortable with. You want 35 for the extra shop refresh, and then 75 is the same thing. The more shop refreshes you have, the faster you can get it set up. Because you have to buy ascensions from shops now. There's not many other ways of getting them, aside from being maxed out on tactics and getting more tactic spaces after that. So anyways, the method is basically, you go into a run, and you take only the tactics that you want to pass on. So if you want to pass on Frost and Frost Burst to your legacy character, then you just take those two tactics, and then once you have them ascended as high as you want, you can win the run if you want to, or you can also just die and lose the run. And that will be your legacy character setup. Since you only have very minimal tactics to choose from in your selection at the end, you can pretty much guarantee you get what you want most of the time. As long as you don't start taking like over 5 tactics during the run. So we can pick up Skill Lightning here. That'll help force into giving the Legacy Lightning Impulses that I want. And then also the Skill Lightning will build into one of the red tactics I want. One thing that I've noticed is it feels significantly easier to build into 5 red tactics now. And I think that's what one of the goals for the tactic update was supposed to be, is to give you like an equal chance of getting a red tactic in every slot type. Some slots just had much more than others. I said it was going to force the game into giving me skill, or Legacy Lightning, but it's still trying to give me Skill Lightning anyways. There we go. Later I'll try to mess around with the electric pillars, but they just don't really fit in this build. I should definitely take the blade space here. Since we have the chance boost for electricity, I want to make sure and take blade spaces anytime I see them. Powering up the actual flying blades themselves is going to help, but it's actually not, like... It's not extremely high priority, surprisingly. Because the blades on them... the blades themselves on their own are getting spawned often enough that they're doing pretty high damage. But one of the upgrades in particular, the third one, will help out once we get it. It makes it where if they're struck by multiple of the blades, they take increasing amount of damage. I haven't really decided... The Flying Blade Impact upgrade, I didn't really notice much of a difference on. And then I'm kind of back and forth between Flying Blade Whirlwind is nice for spawning additional ones, but the Lurking Flying Blades are also nice if you're not recalling them often, and they will allow you to set up a bigger burst with the Flying Blade Slash, so I think that's probably what I'll take. If you're recalling the blades very often, then you obviously don't need the extra duration on them. So I think the Flying Blades would also work really, really well on characters like Lambda and S and Taukaka that have very high multi-hit counts on their basic attacks. You don't have to run this into a Flying Orb build. You could run it into different ones. But I really like this Flying Orb setup for close-range characters. It just really allows them to spawn a lot more of the blades, especially when it comes to the normal enemy rooms. So we're on stage 8, we definitely want to take the guaranteed exchange space here. This is right before the boss fight too, so it's a perfect place to shop. And then we'll be able to upgrade the Flying Blades, that'll be nice. Do I want to take a little bit of money here? I mean, not money, mana. I have enough exchange space, alright, I have enough exchange points racked up that I might as well take one or two. I still don't think I'm going to bother with the extra tactic ascensions, though. We most likely don't need to pick up any HP for the rest of the run, since we have the black market for it. I will take the tactic ascension if it's on sale, though, obviously. The discount mine crystal just gives you so much value over the course of the run, especially now that Transcendence also gives you an additional refresh. You see that discount even more often. Because the discount is always guaranteed to be on every reroll of the shop. It's just random where the discount actually is. Now we're still doing a very good amount of damage. I don't know how much of it is just the Thunder Orbs themselves with the lightning, because that is a strong setup just on its own, and how much of it is the actual Flying Blades. It's probably a mix of everything. I don't see real high burst counts whenever I recall the blades, but you also have to consider the constant DPS that they're doing too. Oh, that's not good. So whenever the sand thing hits you with that slash attack from the background, you get, basically it's a rend debuff. It works the exact same way as rend, where the more you move around, you take damage constantly from it. So you have to be very, very careful when that happens. You can easily drain a huge chunk of your HP bar that way. I'll probably pick this up mostly for the MP absorption passive. I need to remember to actually use this a lot more too. I tend to forget about it. That put like a pretty comfortable boss kill too. It helps that I have a decent setup for like triple dash and invulnerability on my skill, but the damage output felt pretty good so far. We'll have to see how it scales up to the later boss fights though. I don't think I really care too much about trials. It's just one electricity place, we can take it. There's a couple trials that are actually quite good, but most of them I just don't really care about. I'm kind of tempted to take this. I don't know how much, like, how quickly it reduces MP, though. That's the only problem. Oh, wait, once we once we get rid of this, it won't reduce MP at all. So yeah, let's try this one out. I've been interested in trying this, and I haven't gotten to yet. My only main concern there was, like, the MP getting reduced during a boss fight, and then not being able to go into invulnerable frames when I need it. But the MP won't get reduced as soon as the debuff runs out. The one thing to know about how the trial stuff works is that you have to actually go into a combat space in order for one of the trial counts to tick down. So, like, if I go into the event here, it won't go from 4 to 3, it'll stay at 4. And then we can pick up the final blade upgrade, which should help out a lot for the recall damage. I haven't actually tried out this build with Hazama in the Transcendence run. I only tried it out with Hibiki so far, so I'm curious on if the damage output will be high enough in the later boss fights. And again, what that final upgrade for the Flying Blades does is basically just make it where the more blades they get hit by, the more damage they take, gradually from each blade. We still don't have any levels on Lightning Impulse, which is a little worrying. But hopefully we can start getting some of those soon. I think a big part of my damage output is also going to come from one of the Lightning Impulse red effects, so we probably want to try and get that before the next boss fight. I'll go ahead and pick up the kick now. I know that's kind of a fan favorite move, it seems like, for Hazama. Usually I don't take an extra shot. I usually only take one shot per area, but I might actually try to go for an extra shot here since I just have so much money saved up. I have a lot more money than a typical run because of the starting buffs I took. They add up to quite a lot of extra money over time. I don't really find myself using Jormungand on Hazama too often. I don't feel like it's really that useful. The MP absorption on it is pretty low, and I mean the HP absorption on it is pretty low, in my opinion. And then, with the MP absorption on it, you're spending MP in the first place to use it, so you might as well just use a different skill and get the MP refund on that, I feel like. So this is one of the new red effects that we can pick up for the build. When an enemy is inflicted with lightning, a lightning orb is generated that tracks the enemy. So we'll have additional lightning orbs this way, which I think they also proc the lightning orb Thunderbolt, but that's something I'll have to try to check, maybe. We can pick up Ouroboros. Even if you're not taking Ouroboros, you probably want to pick up the first upgrade for it, because it gives you one of the hidden effects for MP absorption rates. Oh, I should show you guys something next time we see Ouroboros, or I'll just go into the potential screen. But here we can see it on Serpent's Unholy Wrath. They added a bunch of new hidden effects for him, which I don't know if I necessarily agree with, but we'll go back into that. A couple of the new hidden effects here is that Ouroboros can absorb HP when it hits an enemy in range, and then Jormungand also makes it so Ouroboros refunds a portion of the SP, even if Ouroboros misses. I still don't really know if I care too much about using those, though I guess I do need to pick this up just for the MP absorption effects. So my stance on Hazama has been that I feel like he has a lot of bloat in his skills and stuff, and then the amount of shit he has locked behind hidden potentials makes him very difficult to understand as a character, and they didn't really fix that with his recent changes, and they made it worse by adding even more hidden effects. Look at Ouroboros just for a second. Ouroboros has 15 different hidden effects attached to it. So if you want to learn what all these hidden effects are, you have to read a giant paragraph. Also, 4 of these hidden effects are the exact same thing. 2 of them have the exact same wording, and then the other 2 have the exact same wording. And all 4 of them are very, very similar worded, and seem to do a pretty similar thing. So I don't know what the deal with that is. If it's just supposed to be different ways you can set up that thing, or why there's 4 of them. I think Hazama's a, like, very overly difficult, complex character to learn, and it's not necessarily, like, for any good reason. It's just the fact that you have to try and manage so many hidden effects for him. I would have much rather seen them cut down on some of his existing potentials. Like, you have to unlock Ouroboros, and you then have to unlock invincibility for it in a separate potential. Stuff like that, they could condense into a single potential, where you just get the invincibility and the counter when you use it. And then they could have just added extra potentials instead of adding more hidden effects. That's what I would rather have seen personally, but maybe that's their vision for Hazama, is they just want to make him a very complicated and complex character. Which, I don't think it's necessarily the worst thing to have a character that's more complex than others, but I feel like a lot of his complexity is needless. To where he could have the same... He could have the same complexity in his gameplay without it being so confusing to learn him. But again, like I said, maybe that's what they want for the character. They want a character that's difficult to learn. To me, it kind of feels like that goes a little bit against what the nature of the rest of the game is, where it's like, it's Blazblue, a lot of the Blazblue fighting game mechanics, but it's much more approachable. And Hazama doesn't kind of... He still fits that, but not to the same degree as other characters. I don't really want to waste refreshes on basic tactics. I think I need to save the rest of my refreshes for potentials. It's unfortunate we're not getting the other red effects we need yet, but we should be pretty close to filling them in. We did at least get the Thunder Orbs one. So here, if I... you couldn't really see it because it flew off-screen. When I hit something with a Legacy, they'll get the Lightning Impulse, and now you can see that there's an additional Lightning Orb, and that orb is also setting off the Thunderbolts. So we're getting even more blades that way. I want to do a build completely, like, based around the additional Thunderbolts, or the additional Lightning Orbs that are spawned at some point. I have an idea for them. I just haven't tested it out too much yet. There's a lot of builds I'm looking forward to testing out. I'm really happy with the new tactic update overall. There's a couple tactics that I'm not too excited about initially, and that's mostly the Hailstorm is kind of okay so far, and then the Flying Sword from the Ice Tree I have not really been enjoying so far, but that might change as I mess with more of their red tactics and stuff. This could be okay. I don't really like the negative 100 MP cost, though, and we won't be using the lightning that often on the skills, so it's fine. This would be very, very good with what we have, but I don't like having my airborne attack damage reduced, because I use air attacks quite often. I am definitely not taking this. I need a lot of invulnerable state during the new Susano fight. Yeah, we can't take anything here, unfortunately. Beckoning Cat is a covenant that might look tempting to take, but I feel like the text on it is pretty misleading. It's a much worse covenant than I thought it sounded like, based on just reading it. Basically what it does is it takes the reward of every stage and completely replaces that reward with some with just exchange points. And then when you go to an advanced space, you get double the amount of exchange points. I thought what it meant that it was... I thought it took the rewards of every stage and turned them into exchange points, but I thought it would double what the exchange point... Or, I thought it would double what the advanced spaces gave. Like, if I got 2 potentials from the advanced space, it would give 4 instead. If that was how it worked, it would be pretty strong. But as it is now, whenever I take it, I end up getting way too many exchange points that I just can't really spend that efficiently. I don't know when exactly it got unlocked in hidden effects, but this combo is going to be very nice for the blade build that we're running right now. You can do up attack and then you can hold the up attack. Like I said, it's unlocked in one of the hidden effects, but I don't remember exactly which one. And then since we have the enhanced attacks, where we can press the skill button to also enhance the moves, we can do that here. Wait. Is it gonna... There we go. I have to make sure I actually, like, start the move animation first before I press skill, otherwise it messes it up. You make a really neat-looking version of that attack. Oh yeah, speaking of the new tactics, the other one I haven't been able to really get a whole lot of use out of yet is the shadow marks that share damage between multiple enemies. I think I need this upgrade and then the next one, probably, in order to get one of the new hidden effects that I wanted to show off. But yeah, when it comes to these shadow links, I feel like the damage transfer is only like 10%, even if you have them fully upgraded. So in the high entropy stuff, where enemies have a lot of HP, it just doesn't really feel like it does a whole lot. It might be really good in the lower entropies. I could see it being pretty good there. It's a shame too, because I was really looking forward to the shadow marks as a concept, but like I said, I've tried several different things out with them, and I just haven't been able to really get them to work yet. It would have been like a perfect thing for Hazama too, because his low attack range can be a problem in a lot of the early rooms. So having something that just kind of damage shares between a bunch of enemies would help out with that. Okay, so now we can get into the next red effects. One of them is going to be Flying Blade Pulse, where after an enemy is struck by a returning Flying Blade 6 times, it activates a pulse. And then we can also pick up Thunder and Lightning, which we've shown off in the past, so we'll get that next. Thunder and Lightning is going to help out a lot with my boss damage output. It's just a pretty generically good... It's a pretty generically good move. Though, now that I think about it, Thunder and Lightning is not nearly as powerful in this build. Because normally how you want to run Thunder and Lightning is you want to run it on the attack slot. But if we start using our skill pretty often, then the Thunder and Lightning can still do some extra damage. If you're playing a character maybe like Lambda, who uses skills a lot more often, then we'd get more value out of it. But honestly, Hazama can chain a lot of skills together too, once you get the MP absorption. So anyways, what Thunder and Lightning does is when a lightning chain links to an enemy inflicted with lightning, it instantly triggers an impulse. So every time the skill goes off and sets off the chain lightning, they'll also take an additional hit of lightning impulse. And then some neat stuff to... one second. I think I just want to buff the Legacy Lightning now, because the impulses will be going off both when I'm recalling blades and then from Thunder and Lightning. So yeah, but the interesting thing about the Flying Blade Pulse is that it benefits from the upgrades, like the Large Pulse, and then, more importantly, the Pulsing Lightning. So whenever an impulse hits an enemy, they get marked by another enemy, or enemies around them get marked. So we'll be able to automatically apply the impulses with Flying Blade Pulse. We'll probably see it on one of the stages here, where I'll recall the blades, they'll kill a bunch of enemies, and then they'll do the impulses and mark other enemies that way, and then the other enemies will also explode. Large Pulse looks a lot bigger than I remember it being. I wonder if it got buffed, or if it's just, I just remember wrong. I remember it being decently big, but it looks bigger than I remember it. Even though this is gold, I don't really care about it right now. We have plenty of AoE damage already, so we just need more damage for the boss fights. Let me check real quick. 48%. I actually can't tell you if that's the same number or not. I'd have to check the wiki for that. There is a red effect where the lightning orbs get... they can proc chain lightning themselves. I wonder if that would be That would be a summoner thing. Would that be possible to put in this build? No, it wouldn't be, unfortunately, because you need the Lightning Orb Thunderbolts. That could be an idea for another build, though. You go Lightning Impulses with Thunder and Lightning again, and then you go for the Lightning Orb where they're summoned here, and then you get a bunch of Chain Lightning procs that way, off of the red effect that would go here. That might be something to keep in mind for a future video. I don't think I explained it too well earlier, but what Pulsing Lightning does is basically just let the lightning impulses spread around to a bunch of different enemies very easily. And then when it comes to boss fights, you can constantly reapply the impulse marks. That way you can use Thunder and Lightning more effectively. Though, like I said before, I don't think it will really affect the skill Lightning build as much. If you're running the Thunder and Lightning, you would normally run it with Attack, since Attack doesn't have a cooldown, it just has a hit count requirement. So I want a certain... Let me sift through the 15 hidden effects here. I wanted to show off this. I need the... thing where I can press skill to attack, and then I also need the additional moves on the up skill. So maybe we can look for that. So this is part of what I need, and then I need one more. Okay. So maybe we can get that here. Oh no, we didn't need it on the up skill, we needed it here. So this will be hard to actually show off, unfortunately, because most bosses can't be hit by this move. You need to pull an enemy into you, and then you need to keep, hold on. There we go. You need to pull the enemy into you by holding the summon button, and then you press the skill button. Do I not have the... Hang on, these inputs are really awkward for me if I haven't played Hazama in a while. There we go. And now once you start that, you're able to press the attack button continuously to do this new move. It's really cool, but it's just... You're probably not going to be able to use it on too many bosses. Only the light bosses can actually get pulled. And then only when stunned as well. It would have been really good for the normal rooms, I think. But we got it way too late, unfortunately. We can try to go through an extra Omega Sector room just to show it off. I think it's going to proc a ton of the flying blades, unless it counts as a skill, which it might because it has a cost on it. Oh, I don't have the ability to use the upskill move in the air. That's gonna feel really awkward, but it's fine. So this is the part where you normally start to really feel the additional HP on the final couple of bosses. I'm not playing this well at all either. Good thing I saved up a bunch of HP, so I don't really have to worry about that type of thing. What is going on? What? Why is my MP restoring so much there? It's also really difficult to... Oh, I'm not high enough. That was a really bad usage of that. If you have the aerial version of the upskill, or some of the other stuff that can like reset your aerial attacks or give you infinite aerial attacks, it's really easy to just stay up there and continuously attack her. But without that stuff, it's difficult to do it. I am losing. Let's just not pay attention to my health bar and how much HP I've lost in this fight. That's actually a little embarrassing, but it's fine. It's been quite a while since I played Hazama, and doing it on commentary doesn't help anything. But still, that was a not a very good performance out of me. So I think this got a couple of new hidden effects as well. You can now hold skill to pull in nearby targets with it, and you can overdraw MP out of it. I haven't tested those out, but I don't think they're really too game-changing. If I'm not mistaken, it already... Ah, never mind. I thought it already did pull, but maybe I'm wrong about that. Oh, we didn't have the invulnerability either during the chains. Oh man, I want both of these. I guess I'll get this first, and I should be able to get the other one later too. I don't really want to full clear the Omega sector, or the Alpha sector, but I would like to get maybe one or two more potentials. Why did I go in... I did not mean to do that. It's fine, we'll have two more of them. That's just a very big waste of a space, but it's okay. I can't do this either. That's really unfortunate now. It's not that big of a deal, though. We can get at least one or two more potentials out of a shop. I wonder if they ever fixed it. Transcendent Floating Mind was just doing way too much damage output with its lasers. Alright, let me see if I can do this new input. It's really awkward to input, I feel like. I did it, but everything died. And now I'm out of MP. Or not MP, but I meant I was out of SP. I need like a big open room or something. We'll try it in a different stage. I won't be doing Reki this run either, because I definitely want to show off the new Susano. I really like what they did with them. It looks like these... Well, it's kind of hard to tell. I'm pretty sure they were proccing the knives there, or the flying blades. But it also could have been just my Thunder doing it. But I think my Thunder was expired for a while there. That's something that's hard to check while I'm playing at the same time. A really cool new move that he got, but it's just... It's really awkward to do all the inputs for it, and it's very situational. You have to be able to actually pull an enemy in, which does not work on most of the boss fights. Oh my, I'm getting juggled. That was a lot of HP lost. But it's fine. Thankfully, we got the black market for HP, otherwise this run would have been over twice already. I do need this for just MP absorption. I do like having the moves here, but I don't like using them until I have where I can press the action key to go into them immediately. And at this point, I don't know how many more potentials I'll be able to get. There's a couple more things that I definitely want still. I'll try to do the new move one more time, and then I'm gonna stop messing with it after that. Here we go. We can probably see it in pretty good action here. If I keep trying to mess around with that, I am going to get myself killed. So, let's not do that anymore. It's cool to see that they're adding new moves to him and stuff, but that was a really weird place to put the move, because like I said, it's so situational and awkward to input already. Now they just added an additional input to the whole thing. When did I drop my kill streak? That's unfortunate. If I can get back up to a 30 kill streak, then I'll start healing pretty quickly off of the Mind Crystal. It's just I need to actually be able to keep the kill streak up. I think 688 is probably enough for one shop, and then we'll decide if we want to go back for the second shop or not. Okay, we can get that, and then we could probably still have time for one or two more potentials. I really want the invincibility during Ouroboros. There we go. This also unlocks, so I have more flight distance on the chain, which is very, very useful. One of the other new ones they added is right at the bottom there, where you get more invincibility time on the chains while you're dragging to it. I haven't really noticed too much of a difference, but the extra time I'm sure does help. Now at this point, I'm pretty sure I've gotten everything I wanted to, so... Well, actually the problem is HP right now. I don't want to go into Susano with this low of HP. Old Susano, yeah, I might be tempted to do that, but new one, definitely not. The new one can do, like, 2k damage very quickly within the span of a second, so if I go in there at this HP, I'm basically just one shot away from dying at any point, which is still probably going to be the case, even if I heal. Unless I get up to, like, a full heal somehow, which is not likely to happen. But if I have, like, 3 to 4k when I go into there, I probably have at least a buffer for some of the lighter hits that he can do. So let's go one more room here, maybe. And then pop off the last shop and go into Susano. I have to watch my timer as well, because the Susano fights could easily take up to 5 minutes, or maybe even a little bit more, depending on how good my damage output is with Hazama. With Jin, it took me about 4 minutes to kill him. I think it was between 4 and 5 minutes somewhere. Though with Jin, I also didn't have an optimal build set up. So we'll see how long it takes for Hazama. Aside from me, like, just playing really badly on Reki, or I mean not Reki, not on Firebite, this run has felt very, very smooth, especially considering it's a Hazama run, which has kind of struggled a bit in the high Transcendent stuff previously, just due to low damage output, in my opinion. But this run has felt much better than before. I want to go... I could go for one more exchange point, but I don't think I'm going to. I think I'm just ready to do my final shop and get to the end of the run now. It would definitely be better to go for the extra exchange points, but I just don't feel like it. What do we have left? I don't have triple jump. That could actually be a pretty big problem. Okay, good. I did not realize I did not have triple jump. Triple jump is very useful for the air recovery thing that you can do during it, if you get hit by attacks when you're in the air. And then, at some point they also added where you get an invincibility for 1 second afterwards, so it's even more useful now. Alright, so I am not going to do any commentary during the Susano fight. Alright, so like I said before, if you have not seen the new Transcendent Susano, you are in for a surprise, because he got a very, very big rework. He is basically an entirely new boss fight now. Okay, I'm pretty happy with how that fight turned out. I made a couple mistakes throughout the fight, but overall it was pretty clean, especially for my first time doing it as Hazama. It definitely helps that Hazama has just an abundance of invincibility frames everywhere, and that's a big reason of why I was able to get through the fight. Anyways, that was a pretty fun run. I think I at least made up for my blunder on non-Firebite with the final Susano fight, so I'm happy with how the run turned out. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.